We're always searching for that fountain of youth, right? But what if the secret to a longer, healthier life isn't some single magic bullet? What if it's more like a master switch that can be flipped by a whole bunch of different things? That's the really fascinating idea we're going to dig into. So here's the big puzzle that's been bugging scientists. How can things that seem totally different, like a special diet, a little genetic tweak, or a powerful drug, all end up having the same anti-aging effect on lab animals? What's the hidden connection there? Well, a team of researchers decided to treat this whole thing like a detective case. And their investigation started with one major clue, a process that connects aging to something happening inside all of us right now.
And that clue? It has a pretty memorable name, inflammaging. This concept has become absolutely central to understanding why our bodies change as we get older.
Okay, think of it like this. As the years go by, it's like our body's internal thermostat for inflammation gets kind of stuck in the on position. It's not a raging fire, but a constant low-level simmer. And this simmering is a major driver behind a lot of age-related diseases. So the first question for our science detectives was simple. Could all these different anti-aging methods just be turning that thermostat down? To test that idea, they gathered a fascinating lineup of suspects. Basically, all the different interventions that are known to help mice live longer. The whole goal was to find a common link, a shared signature among all of them. And what's so wild here is just how different these methods are. I mean, we are talking about everything from genetic mutations and really strict diets to a whole range of different drugs. On the surface, they have absolutely nothing in common, which makes the hunt for that one connection even more exciting. So after looking at all this data, the scientists started to zero in on one crucial molecular player, a single protein that acts as a kind of command center for all this inflammation. This protein is called P65, and you can think of it as the master switch for inflammation inside our cells. So if inflammaging is the problem, P65 became the prime suspect for controlling it. And this right here, this is the breakthrough moment. When the researchers measured the P65 levels in the mice, the results were just crystal clear. Across the board, the mice that were aging more slowly had significantly lower levels of this inflammation master switch. This was a huge discovery. It didn't matter if it was genetics, diet, or drugs. The common thread was that they all turned down the P65 switch and helped calm down that chronic inflammation that comes with aging. But like any good detective story, there were a few twists. The P65 connection was a massive piece of the puzzle, for sure, but it wasn't the whole story. And how it all worked? Well, that was not what anyone expected. So, get this. It turns out a couple of drugs that are also known to extend lifespan in mice, well, they did not lower P65 levels. So what does that tell us? It tells us that while this P65 pathway is a major highway to longevity, it's not the only one. There are clearly other roads you can take to slow down aging. The other surprise was the mechanism. See, scientists expected that these interventions were probably blocking the usual proteins that turn P65 on. Makes sense, right? But nope. The levels of those typical activator proteins weren't consistently changed. It was like these anti-aging methods were turning P65 down by sneaking in through some kind of backdoor channel. This unexpected discovery pointed the researchers toward a whole new pathway, and even more exciting, a new potential target for developing future anti-aging therapies. So here's the new theory, broken down step by step. First, the anti-aging methods seem to lower the levels of another protein. Then, lowering that protein leads to lower P65 activity. And finally, that quiets down all the inflammatory and metabolic genes that P65 is in charge of. And to confirm they were on the right track, they checked. And sure enough, they found that 3 key proteins controlled by P65, the ones involved in metabolism and inflammation, were also significantly lower in the slow-aging mice. That was some really strong evidence for this new pathway. So, what does this all mean for us? Well, the big takeaway is that scientists may have found a shared biological lever. If we can target the P65 protein, or the pathway that controls it, we might be able to get the anti-inflammatory, anti-aging effects of all these different things with a single, focused approach. And that's the final, powerful conclusion from the researchers themselves. Identifying P65 isn't just an interesting scientific fact, it's a roadmap. It gives us a clear target for developing new therapies designed to help us live a longer, healthier life.
The question is no longer just how we age, but how we can directly and precisely turn down the switch that drives it.